We're counting down the 15 most tragic accidents ever recorded in the Grand Canyon, ranking real moments where the landscape turned routine actions into disaster. From hidden ice patches at crowded viewpoints to freak rockfalls that struck families mid-lunch, each case exposes a unique danger, some so subtle you'd never spot them until it's too late. Which ordinary mistake proved deadliest? Let's begin with number 15. Lars van Dijken was 19, a Dutch exchange student drawn to Mather Point's famous view on a winter morning in 2014. The paved overlook bustled with tourists, but just beyond the railing, a shaded patch of rock hid a thin, invisible layer of black ice, barely 2 millimeters thick. Lars stepped off the main path, angling for a better photo, and his boots lost purchase instantly. Friends described it as watching someone vanish through a trapdoor. No sound, no time to react. Rangers found his camera strap tangled in scrub below, still swinging in the cold air. The park later confirmed that even well-traveled viewpoints can mask lethal hazards. In winter, ice forms where sun never reaches, traction disappears, and the canyon claims another life. Marisol Reyes started down Bright Angel Trail before sunrise, confident she could reach Havasupai Gardens before the day's heat. By late morning, the Devil's Corkscrew twisted into a furnace, ambient air near 120 degrees, stone radiating even hotter. Sweat poured without relief, her words lagged behind her thoughts, and when she sat, her partner mistook it for a rest. But her answers grew stranger, delayed, then incoherent. A weak cell signal barely connected a rescue call as Marisol's body gave in to the heat. Cardiac arrest struck before help could arrive. In the canyon, heat doesn't just scorch skin, it overwhelms the body from within, and the warning signs often come too late. Elliot Tran was 27, camped with friends beside Tapeats Creek in late summer 2019. The group chose a sandy wash above the water, thinking the sky overhead looked harmless and the creek ran clear. But miles upstream, a thunderstorm dumped rain across the plateau, invisible and silent at their location. The first warning was a low roar, distant and strange. Some compared it to a truck crossing a bridge. Seconds later, the calm stream transformed into a wall of brown water, churning with debris. Elliot sprinted back for his dry bag, underestimating the force building just out of sight. The surge hit, with no time to escape. USGS gauges would later show a spike from 50 to 12,000 cubic feet per second in minutes. By the time the flood receded, Elliot was gone, swept away by a danger that gave no warning until it was too late. Kendra Malone, 24, balanced on a sandstone slab at Desert View in 2018, angling her phone to catch the river far below. Wind tugged at her hair as she shifted her weight, not noticing the faint crack running beneath her boots. Sandstone here holds together by just a couple of megapascals, strong enough for centuries, fragile when freeze and thaw pry the layers apart. Friends called out, but Kendra only laughed, adjusting her stance for the shot. The rock didn't shatter, it simply gave way, a silent crumble that left no time for reaction. Her phone recorded a blur of sky, then spinning canyon walls, then only wind. The slab's edge, weakened by winter moisture and summer heat, had reached its limit. Rangers found her below, the evidence as plain as the broken stone above, a reminder that even solid ground in the canyon can betray the confident and the careful alike. Noah Feldman left the shuttle stop after sunset in 2020, relying on his 120 lumen headlamp to guide him back to camp. At 41, he'd hiked the rim before and trusted the familiar crunch of gravel underfoot. But as the desert night deepened, familiar landmarks faded, and the trail forked into a faint social path. 90% of human visual acuity disappears in low light, and the canyon's edges blur into shadow. Noah's wife heard loose stones scatter, then a single solid thud, no warning, no cry. Rangers found his headlamp 10 feet from his body, still shining in the wrong direction. The Grand Canyon at night hides its drop-offs and false steps, turning confidence into vulnerability with nothing more than darkness and silence. Damon Pierce was 36 when his private rafting trip entered Crystal Rapid in spring 2016. The river was running at 13,000 cubic feet per second, a volume that transforms the Colorado into a moving machine, layers of water folding over themselves, hiding forces that don't show on the surface. Damon's raft missed the main line by just a few feet, spinning sideways and slamming against a boulder. He was thrown into the current, immediately drawn toward a hydraulic, a vortex 3 meters wide, spinning at 6 radians per second. Guides call it a suction cup, a place where water recycles anything caught inside, over and over. Damon surfaced once, eyes wide, searching for something solid, but the roar swallowed any shouted instructions. The river's pull was absolute. His body was found 2 kilometers downstream hours later. On paper, the rapid looks like a set of waves. In reality, it's a trap engineered by physics, not malice, where power hides just below the foam. Tanya Mbeki was 29, a videographer drawn to Navajo Point in July 2015, hoping to capture the canyon beneath a sky streaked with summer storm clouds. The air smelled metallic, the horizon split by distant rain. Storm cells here can roll in at 15 miles per hour, faster than most people can pack up and leave. Tanya lingered for one last shot, standing near the metal railing as the wind picked up. The flash came without warning, an electric field of 30,000 volts per meter built invisibly around her. Then a bolt carrying 30,000 amps struck down. Witnesses said the light was too bright to process, the sound like a punch to the chest. Tanya died instantly, her phone still recording static. In the canyon, lightning doesn't announce itself. It finds the highest or most conductive point, and sometimes, that's just a person standing in the wrong place at the wrong second. Jonas Weber was 52, a seasoned hiker who set out on Hermit Trail with a full water bladder and a plan to keep his pace steady. By midday, sweat streamed from his skin, up to 3 liters per hour lost into the canyon air, each drop carrying precious sodium. Jonas drank constantly, but refused salty snacks to save weight, believing water alone would be enough. As the hours wore on, his steps grew uncertain and his thoughts clouded. He started to repeat himself, insisting he was fine, then suddenly sat down, overwhelmed by muscle cramps that locked his limbs. His serum sodium had dropped to 118 millimoles per liter, dangerously low. Cerebral edema set in fast, swelling the brain. Rangers reached him too late. In the Grand Canyon, overhydration without electrolytes can be as deadly as heat, turning a body's own chemistry into the final hazard. Priya Nand was 31, hiking the North Kaibab corridor in 2013 with friends. The box is a narrow slot where the canyon walls shoot straight up, leaving no room for error and no warning for what comes from above. A sharp snap echoed overhead, a sound hikers compare to a branch breaking in a forest that doesn't exist here. Then a fist-sized rock, falling at nearly 12 meters per second, struck her near the shoulder, followed instantly by another. There was no landslide, no shower of debris, just a brief violent shedding from the vertical cliffs. The group pressed themselves against the wall, suddenly aware that even in the canyon's stillness, danger can drop with no pattern or warning. Priya's injuries were catastrophic. She died on the spot. Rangers later explained that freeze-thaw cycles pry loose rocks in these slots, turning them into projectiles with invisible origins and fatal consequences. Holly Nguyen was 22, drawn to the quiet at Plateau Point in early summer 2012. She wanted a view away from the main lookout, a place where the stone felt solid and the silence stretched wide. One more step to see around a low boulder, her shoe caught on a root-like crack hidden in the rock. She windmilled, caught her balance, but the ground beneath her heel shifted. Under the surface, a void in the scree waited for just enough pressure. The canyon's rim can hold up to 70 kilopascals, but Holly's 70-kilogram weight was enough to shear the weakened edge. The gravel slid, the stone crumbled, and in that instant, she shouted, a sound witnesses remembered as surprise, not fear. It was like a door opening where a wall was expected. 18 meters below, the impact was final. Rangers later measured the collapsed edge and found no warning sign, just an ordinary fissure, invisible until it vanished underfoot. Miles Avery was 34, a photographer drawn to the solitude of Tuweep Overlook on the remote North Rim in 2018. He texted a friend a photo of the sheer drop, writing, "I get why people come here to reset." The road in was rough enough to shake loose any thoughts of rescue, and the overlook itself offered no railings, just a sharp angle, 70 degrees straight down, stone to the river. Miles's car was found the next day, dust settled around the tires, water bottle and keys untouched inside. Tracks led to the rim, then stopped at bare rock, as if the ground had erased his last steps. The velocity of a fall from that height, 31 meters per second by the time a body hits bottom, leaves no chance for survival. In the backcountry, a single misstep isn't just a personal risk. It means no one is coming, and the silence stretches longer than the canyon itself. Sofia Petrov set out for Cape Royal on the North Rim in January 2016. At 46, she had hiked in cold weather before, but the Grand Canyon's winter is a different kind of cold. Wind slicing through layers, temperatures dropping as low as -30 with the wind chill. Sofia underestimated the distance between viewpoints, the sun already low when she passed the last sign of other hikers. As daylight faded, her phone battery drained, and the wind erased her footprints in the snow. The air felt sharp enough to sting, but fatigue made each step heavier. When she finally sat to rest, the world grew strangely quiet and comfortable, a warning sign masked as relief. By morning, her core temperature had fallen below 28 degrees Celsius. Rangers found her not far from the trail, her tracks vanished by the night's gusts. In the Grand Canyon, even a desert can kill with cold, and comfort can be the last thing you feel. Rafael Ortiz was 28, a runner who treated the Grandview Trail like a training ground. Early May 2022, he moved fast down a steep cobbled section, legs pumping, shoes barely touching each uneven stone. Decades of foot traffic had loosened the old rockwork by just 2 centimeters, enough for seismic shifts to go unnoticed until weight hit at the wrong angle. Rafael's pace carried him over a rounded stone that rolled underfoot, twisting his knee sideways. Momentum took over. He tried to catch himself against a juniper root jutting from the inner wall, but the root tore free, its fibers snapping in his grip. For a split second, he hung suspended, seeing the canyon drop away beneath him, 12 meters straight down. The energy of his fall, over 800 joules, was invisible until it became unstoppable. When rangers traced the scene, they found the juniper's torn root and a scuffed streak where Raphael's body had bounced off the wall. On Grandview, speed turns a slip into a fall no one can recover from. Deshaun Carter was 26, a guide assistant who knew the river's reputation but trusted the calm of a slack eddy near Pumpkin Springs. The water at the surface drifted lazily, barely faster than a slow walk, just 0.2 meters per second. Laughter echoed off the canyon walls as he jumped in, expecting to float gently back to shore. But below the glassy surface, the Colorado River hit a current pulling at nearly 8 times that speed. Within seconds, Deshaun drifted farther than planned, the eddy's gentle spin masking a powerful undertow. Strokes turned frantic. Panic breathing took over, each gasp sharper, shorter, as if the canyon itself was squeezing the air from his lungs. Guides shouted instructions. Roll onto your back, let the life jacket work. Don't fight. But the current was already in control, dragging him 400 meters downstream in less than 5 minutes. The river's pull was silent, invisible, and absolute. In the Grand Canyon, even the friendliest water can turn deadly before anyone realizes what's happening. Gavin Brooks, 38, and his daughter Lena, 9, stopped at a shaded wall on Bright Angel Trail in 2023. They picked a quiet spot near Havasupai Gardens, the kind of place families settle for a snack without a second thought. The air was still, no wind, no warning. A pebble landed near their packs, just a small sound, barely enough to notice. Then another, sharper, closer. Gavin shifted Lena closer to the inside edge, repeating, "We were just eating," as if routine could shield them. The third impact was different. A rock the size of a cantaloupe, 3 kilograms, dropping from unseen heights at nearly 15 meters per second. It struck the trail with a crack, scattering shards. Hikers froze. eyes scanning the cliffs for a source that never showed. The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by Gavin's words still hanging in the air. Neither survived. Later, rangers traced the fall to a microfracture cascade. No visible crack, no loose talus, just a hidden weakness in the stone. In the canyon, danger can arrive in the most ordinary moments, punishing trust in the familiar. Even a family lunch in the wrong place at the wrong second can become a countdown. Every year, nearly 5 million people visit Grand Canyon National Park. Out of those millions, fewer than a dozen lose their lives, most often not from daring feats, but from everyday actions gone wrong. For all its beauty, the canyon demands respect and preparation. There are 9 rules every traveler should know before stepping onto the rim or down a trail. First, treat every shaded patch in winter as potential black ice. Stay on pavement, check your footing, and never trust what looks solid in the shadows. In summer, start early and finish hikes before the heat builds. Drink water, but always pair it with salty snacks or electrolytes to avoid the hidden danger of hypo. Never camp or rest in dry washes. Flash floods can arrive from storms you will never see, turning calm creeks into torrents in minutes. When hiking narrow corridors, give yourself a buffer from canyon walls. Rockfall does not announce itself, and even a pebble from above can be deadly. Use only marked trails in daylight. At night, landmarks vanish and social paths can lead straight to drop-offs. On the river, wear a life jacket and never underestimate the current, even in calm-looking eddies. If storms build, leave exposed points. Lightning often strikes the highest or most conductive object, and sometimes that is a person. In winter, pack for deep cold and carry backup power for devices. Exposure can come on fast and feel deceptively gentle. Finally, slow down on steep descents and keep to stable ground. Momentum and loose edges have ended more journeys than any wild animal. The odds of a fatal accident here are less than 0.0003%, but 348 search and rescue incidents last year prove that the canyon punishes routine, not recklessness. Plan, respect the hazards, and you will survive to see another sunrise above the rim. Across all 15 tragedies, one truth emerges. The Grand Canyon punishes the everyday, not just the extreme. Ordinary decisions, pausing for lunch, taking a shortcut, trusting the familiar, can meet sudden, silent hazards. The canyon's beauty conceals dangers that don't announce themselves. That's why respect, not routine, is the only real safety here. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and keep the wilderness wild.